Today we'll be removing empty columns automatically using Power Query, and it's important there can be some empty cells in the column, but we want to remove the columns that are empty, so they have actually empty cells and the cells with empty text string. And in some column cells we can see a formula that returns double quotes, two double quotes, so this is an empty text string. But sometimes Power Query can find those values in empty cell. For example, when I copy this cell that returns empty text string and paste it as a values and save the file, this cell in Power Query will be different than actually empty cell, because it won't be filled with null value but will look like an empty cell, and we want to remove all of those columns automatically, not manually by delete. So okay, so Control Z, Control S, and we need to do it manually with Power Query. So on Data tab we go to Get Data from File, from Excel, and we need to find our file, double click it, and we want to import data from Arco Sheet 1, and we can see in column 2, column 4 and so on we have cells with null value, but we also have empty cells, those cells with empty text string. Even the one that return we just copy and paste as values, the result of the formula, it's also empty. It isn't filled with null value, it's empty from the perspective of Power Query. So this is something different than just empty cell, so the cell with null value. Okay, so we need to go to transform our data, and we need a bit more complicated code. So we start with pasting the whole code at the time. So let's start with, once again, let's add step. So next step will be referring to previous step, and the previous step is called change type, and because it has space in it, it should be right as a hashtag and double quotes the name of the text. So the Power Query will be precise to which step to refer. And let's see the whole code for removing empty cell. And first we'll check if it's working, so let's paste it here and let's expand this formula by a bit, and okay, everything looks fine in the code, and as a result in the custom step we have only cells that have some values inside of them. And if you just need a way to remove empty columns, just copy this code from the video description and change the step name in these three places, and you will get the proper results. If you want to learn a bit more about this formula, stay with me. So we will start with this small part, easiest from all this code, and we will add once again a new step. This time this step refers the previous step custom 1, so it's easier to write, but we want to work with change type step, and this simple function just return the list of each column names, so headers. You can see this list, and from this list we will be removing those empty columns. We need to remove them, and for this, to check if the column is filled with null values, is empty from our perspective, we will be using a bit different formula. We will use this part. We'll talk about. For now, we will talk about this part. So let's paste it. List remove matching items. So we'll be removing from list values from this list. And because we don't have other part of formula, we'll be referring example column. So our example from step change type will refer to one column, and to refer this column we have to write its name in double square brackets. Column 2. Okay, this looks good. Okay. And because we remove null values and empty text string, we can see nothing. We will see nothing in this formula, but our formula had some empty text string, empty cells. So if we remove this, assign this value, we'll get a list with 4 values. If we remove just empty, okay, just something went wrong with my keyboard. Okay, now I have empty text string, so 2 double quotes, and just like that I will get just null values. But we need to remove all null value and empty text string, and then our list has no values. So if we will count numbers of elements in this list, so we will use function List.Count, and we need to remember to place parentheses in proper places. You can see we have 0 elements. If I remove null once again, we will get 178 rows, elements, null values. Okay, but we need to remove those 2 of those values, so null and empty text string, and it's 0. And when the list, so the column, have 0 values, 0 elements after removing null and empty text string values, we want this column to list. So we want to compare the result of list count value function to 0 value, and then we can just select a list that match those values. So I will copy this part of the formula. Okay, once again, select V, E, and I delete also the equal sign at the start. This should be working. No. Once again, something went wrong. Control V. Okay, it now looks right. Yes. Okay, this time I copied formula properly, and I have list of columns that are empty, and I need to remove those columns from previous step, to be exactly change type step. And we can just use, just in our example, Table.RemoveColumns function. So let's write this time, not copy, Table.RemoveColumns, and we want to remove column from the step change type. So this will be our table. So the values from change type, it's our whole table, and we want to remove, see, columns. Then list columns, this last part will give us a result, and I need one more parenthesis at the end, and I can check this formula is correct. It's basically the same formula as we have previously, and we have our results. So let's delete custom to step, and we have removed empty columns. If you prefer, you could add this formula, then this step in advanced editor, or just, as I said before, copy paste and change the step names we are using from this. So our custom one step starts here and ends here in advanced editor, text editor of the code, and we can see all elements, and we can do work with this. Okay, this done. We don't have any changes to do. So home, close, and load to. We can now load our table to existing worksheet without those empty columns. And Control S. Let's change a bit our data. So let's add some columns, and 1, 2, 3, 4, as the, and in one of this column, new column, let's write at least one value that is different than the empty text string or actually empty cell. And remember to Control S this time, and we can go back to our table and refresh it. But I will need one more change in our example, because our change type step refers to columns that don't exist right now. So the easiest solution is to just delete this step, and then name of the step in custom one. So in our formula, removing empty columns will be changed. So we can see promote headers, not change type, and we can see our new column ASD, because this column isn't empty, it has one value, so it's different than 0, so it stays. Okay, close and load, and now yes, now it's refreshed, and you can see we remove automatically with Power Query empty columns from our data.